In this section we'll be looking at vulnerability assessment with Nessus. So what is Nessus? Nessus is one of the most popular vulnerability scanners. It is free for personal use and you can buy the subscription if you want to use it for commercial purposes. It has a client server architecture, as in if you want to do a scan, you send the command to the Nessus server and the Nessus server does the scan. Normally it will be that you directly do the scan yourself, but with Nessus it goes through the Nessus server. So the different operating systems that support Nessus server are Linux, Mac, Windows and Unix, and it has also features like network vulnerability scanning, web application vulnerability scanning, Windows malware scanning and a lot more. So you can download and install Nessus from this link over here, and once it's installed you need to do some basic configuration before you can start. So in Linux you just type this command and start the Nessus server, and in Windows this is the command for opening it, and after that you go to this location in the URL 127.0.0.1 and port will be 8834, and then you can access the Nessus server. And after that you have to register yourself and you will get an activation code which you also have to give in, and it will download some plugins, and after that you can start using Nessus. There are some basic terms when it comes to Nessus. First is plugins, and plugins contain different types of vulnerability lists, and policies are used for configuring different options for a scan, like whether it's a network scan or a web app scan, etc. And the scan section gives you the list of old scans, and also you can specify new scans to be started. So let's do a step by step of a network vulnerability scan. So first we'll be creating a policy called the basic network scan. So just select it and give basic network scan, and you give a new name for it, and you can also give a description if you want, and you type this type of scan, which is internal or external, and if you want you can give the Windows credentials, and then you go to new scans and you give the target IP address, and also you select the policy that you just made, and then the scan will start and it will give you the list of vulnerabilities that it has found, and you can see it has ordered it according to priority, like information, low, medium, high and critical bugs. So once you click on them you can view the entire vulnerability details. So let's look at the step by step of a web vulnerability scan. So again you create a policy, but now you choose web application tests, and you give a name for it, and then you give the complexity of it, less complex or more in depth, and based on that it will take longer for more in depth. And you can also give the login credentials for the website, and you can create and then you give new scan, and then you give the IP address of whatever you want to scan, and you can see it's again listing the different vulnerabilities. So you can see there are some high vulnerabilities, there's some very critical vulnerabilities over here. So you can also create a custom policy, and for that you just give advanced policy, and you give some policy details, and you can enable whichever plugin you want. So if you want something to be enabled you just give enabled, and it will enable all of them, and if you want to disable something you just give disabled. So after that you just give you again go to new scan and you give your custom policy, and you can see again it's listing the vulnerabilities after the scan has been completed. So let's look at some defense for Nessus scans. So most important of all, a good firewall will detect that that Nessus is doing a scan and block that attacker from scanning it, and also you should reduce your attack surface on the server. So you should only open a port if it is really needed, and do not allow unnecessary services to run.